So, and it was a tiny wedding. It was like immediate family and then like 2 people each other than that.
Right.
And at our reception, which was dinner, my dad gave a little toast. And
Right.
he said, "Oh, this is for my sweethearts, Susie and Kim." And he said, "Oh, I mean Ari and Kim." Like, I know. And he said, in the eyes of Allah, like, all that matters is blah, blah, whatever. And I know that Kim and Ari have that, so they're going to be, it was just like...
Wow, that's a long way to come.
Holy fuck, yeah. And he doesn't ever remember my name now. And I don't think my parents have ever called me, either one of them have called me anything other than she,
Right.
Like, they just... I'm sure my mom would be, if she actually tried, would have an easier time with it, but, like, she's caretaker for dad, and, like...
It's just...
It's
she only has so much...
Yes,
right,
yes.
She only has so much... Then it's good that you can... I mean, that's hard.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be uncomfortable for you to be there.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah. Like, it's not horrible, but it's...
Because you love them and you want to be with them. Yeah. You don't want to cut yourself off from them.
Yes. And my sister is now basically local to them, But, like, and there's been, like, oh, my God, moments. Like, so one of the groups of people I came out to as trans was I was singing in an LGBT choir at the time. I'm not with them anymore. And that was not as easy as you would expect. There was quite a few people that were quite resistant to trans folks and pronouns and whatever else, but they rallied. And we were at like the end of the year party or whatever, and I was super excited because my sister was having her first baby, and she's like, the person who was hosting it was like, "Ari, you realize that kid is only going to know you as Ari?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" Like that
Right.
was like, I hadn't thought of that.
Right.
That they're not going to have to learn my name. It's
Right.
just, I will have always been Ari in their life. Like,
Right.
Which was like,
they do an auntie or a
incredibly
believe
powerful
thing? I mean, because neither one of those would be comfortable
No, I just say, like, just call me Ari.
Right.
And it's mostly actually their parents, right?
Right.
Like,
then they struggle with how do I say.
They do. And they still, and my sister and her husband, Leslie, probably get it right more than anybody else, And the kid, I mean, the oldest child is 3 now, so it's not
Right.
like, so it's fine that he will know me as Ari. But yeah, I feel like I'd heard a gender-neutral version.
I feel like I did too, but I don't remember what
I don't
it
remember,
is.
but the one that I love is nibbling.
Oh, yes.
Instead of it needs to have you, right?
Right.
So I do use nibbling for them, but yeah. So there've been some like just awesome moments like that,
Yeah. So your siblings are pretty okay with it?
Yeah. They are. My brother is fine. He's going through a really, really awful divorce and custody hearing. And he, like, one of the things, like, in the last year, he's been, like, we used to call them Aga Kids calls. So,
Okay.
like, the 3 of us would be on the phone together once a week, and that kind of stopped happening.
Okay.
And we've kind of reinstituted that recently, and he's like, I feel really bad. He's like, I'm so disconnected from you guys, and I want to do better about that. And he screws up my name less now than before. And his wife was not supportive. I mean, not awful, not a monster,
Right.
but just like she's resistant to anybody telling her what to do. So
Right.
like, me telling her my name was now Ari was like, well, I'll call you what I want to call you.
Right. I met you as this, and that's what you're.
Yes, exactly. And she's from a very conservative Catholic Mexican family, and so like, But yeah, but
doesn't
he
have the capacity for that.
I don't think so. And of all the things, like, I'm not, like, I haven't talked to her in years now, but, yeah, so he is, definitely, but he just is slow in getting there, and he has other priorities right now, so,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So that's, I mean, even the gender queer is pretty, I mean, it's relatively recent, less than 10 years.
Yes.
For
Since
you.
that term. Oh, for sure. Oh, my God, yes. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Far
yeah,
less, yeah. Like, I'm 41 now, so, yeah.
Yeah.
5 years, even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was aware of some of that because I got the email.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
So just sort of now, navigating your everyday life.
Yeah.
The sort of outness question, the how
Right.
out are you? There's family,
Yes.
there's which we've covered in some
Yeah.
detail at this point.
Yeah.
But work, friends.
Yeah.
Do you have people in your life that? I mean, it's weird with the genderqueer piece that don't know. How would they not know if there's a name change?
Yes.
I mean, you were. I mean, not to say it for you, but
Yeah.
you were quite intentional about
yes.
letting people know.
Absolutely.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure.
But then, because we can get into new people afterwards, but
Yeah.
sort of like was there a gradual, you kind of hinted at that there was like family and then there was like,
yeah.
Have there been gradual groups of people that?
Yeah, well, family was, Kim was first, you know,
right.
and I did good in picking a partner because like
that could not have been an easy conversation.
It wasn't, but at the same time, like, she was part of the process of me figuring that out, you know, and just like she's a fucking gender theorist, for God's sake, you know. I can be like, I don't. How do I think about this? How do I talk? I don't know. Even aside from me, just how does gender work? Like, what the fuck is gender anyway? You know? I was like, how did you know you're a woman? She's like, I've never thought about that. And I was like, well, think about it and get back to me, because like, you know?
I need some help here.
So, yeah, it was really just a series. And actually, I feel like I was still living in D.C. for sure. And I think she asked me, like, flat out, like, how do you identify? And I was like, well, not a woman, but I don't really know other than that. And she's like, okay. And she's like, is there anything else and I was like, no, I don't think so. She's like, well, just write me a memo. It was like her classic thing. And I was like, okay, you know, so yeah, like, she was definitely the first person I told any of this, like, names, pronouns.
Of course, that's who you're sharing your life with.
Right, you know, and then my family next, for sure. And yeah, I had kind of, I think, sort of close friends before I moved to, and I think I haven't mentioned this explicitly, but I do think moving to a new city and a new province and a new country was part of what allowed me to feel comfortable. Like, I would have come out anyway, but it was like this brand new life, you know?
Right. It was going to be a time where you're going to have to be introducing yourself to other people and that sort of thing. So if you wanted to be something for someone different, or present yourself in a different way.
Like, coming out lesbian right before I moved to Pennsylvania was not a coincidence either. I'm sure of it. You know,
right.
Like, I think a lot of people come out when they go to college. They're the distance and the you know, whatever. So I came out to, like, I sort of told people about my name change, and there were several iterations of coming out, about first name, then pronouns, then top surgery and T, all that stuff, basically in the same order every time. It was like, yeah, so family first, and then kind of close friends from the States, essentially. And I had developed pretty quickly a group of really close friends in Calgary, mostly through Kim, many of whom were singing in the LGBT choir, you know, and who I just knew were queer friendly, whatever, so they were kind of first. And then almost like expanding circles after that.
Right.
And I was actually first, when I came out, changed my name and changed my pronouns, I was actually doing independent consulting. I didn't have a full-time job yet. And so I feel like I strategized pretty closely with a former colleague from Vera, to kind of figure out, like, professionally, how do you, you know, do this, right? And there are some trans academics now, so I literally, like, Googled them and looked at their CVs and whatever, and, like, many of them had, like, had been publishing under, like, you know, Michael K. Williams, and went to, like, Michelle K. Williams, or so it was still M.K. Williams, you know, kind of thing, where it was, you know, that sort of thing. And with, like, current professional contacts, it was, like, there was not even a mention of trans. It was just, like, I'm changing my name.
Right. Because people do that for other reasons.
Yeah, my first name, and I don't even remember if I did the pronoun thing with them or not, with the people I was working with at the time. And that was around the same time that I left. And mostly because I did think about, like, just using Ari personally.
Right.
And my worry was that, like, people who knew me as Susie or Suzanne wouldn't know it was the same person.
Right.
And I didn't want to, like,
have to reestablish those contacts and have conversations with
and just have a world, like, you know, I want somebody who's, like, looking for a reference for Ari for a job to be able to talk to Daryl, you know, or somebody at Vera that I worked with. And so it's just, like, I just have to kind of let and it was really, like, you got the more personal version for sure, you know, but most of, like, my work colleagues and stuff, it was like, I'm changing my name, and it was, the thing that was nice was it was part of the email change too, so it could be, like, sort of part of that whole.
Okay, I have a new email, I have a new city, I have a new this, and a new name.
Yes. So that was, but it's, like, that whole coming out over and over again, like, yeah, like, I am out to absolutely everybody because I tell everybody that my pronouns are they. And so and most people have no fucking clue what I'm looking